Would you ever trust a movie older than your grandparents to make a kid laugh or gasp? These films sparked boycotts, rewrote movie history, and even made child stars into legends or outcasts. Forget boring homework, these black and white classics caused riots, tears, and joy. Ready to discover which ancient flicks are actually fun? Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times. This movie almost got banned and made kids everywhere roar with laughter. Why? Because one mustachioed man dared to battle an entire factory. In Modern Times, 1936, Charlie Chaplin's little tramp isn't just fighting machines, he's taking on the future itself. Factories gobble workers whole, assembly lines swallow human dignity. Kids today may not face spinning gears, but who can't relate to feeling like a tiny cog? Chaplin, with his spaghetti legs and rubber face, gets force-fed by a malfunctioning lunch machine. He looked like he was being eaten alive, said one kid critic in 1936. The movie's slapstick made children howl, but beneath the jokes lurked danger. Chaplin's film mocked industrial America during the Great Depression. Politicians grumbled, studios worried. In some towns, censors tried to cut entire scenes, worried children might, heaven forbid, rebel against chores. And yet, Modern Times only made Chaplin more famous. The film cemented him as a champion of the little guy and a permanent icon on every schoolroom wall. Would Minions have existed without the Tramp's nonsense? Maybe not. The Wizard of Oz. You think The Wizard of Oz is all rainbows and colors? Think again. Its opening scenes in dusty black and white are what hook kids' hearts. Sure, most people remember The Wizard of Oz, 1939, for its explosive color, but it starts and ends gritty, gray, and haunting. When Dorothy's Kansas is just a flat, monochrome nowhere, every detail matters. The storm looks real. The mud's got depth. The tornado, nightmarish. Some kids, seeing it for the first time, actually prefer the realness of black and white Kansas to the painted fakeness of Oz. Why would anyone want to go back to color? Asked a 10-year-old reviewer in 1940. The critics called the Dust Bowl prologue a punch in the stomach. Kids could feel it. And here's the kicker. Judy Garland was almost replaced for being too real in those early scenes. Studio bosses panicked. She's not a cartoon, one complained. She's an actual kid. Imagine The Wizard of Oz without Judy's tremble, without that dog looking so lost in the storm. Would we even care about rainbows? King Kong. No film in history has made kids scream and beg for more nightmares like King Kong. It's 1933. Parents are fainting in the aisles. Children are clutching popcorn like life jackets. When King Kong bursts through the jungle, every kid sees a monster, but also, maybe, a misunderstood giant. The special effects, primitive by today's standards, still have bite. King Kong isn't just scary, he's sad, wrote one young fan. The gorilla's rampage, his desperate climb up the Empire State Building became the stuff of playground lore. But the fallout? Some theaters refused to show the film to children. Teachers complained about sleepless nights. King Kong's legacy isn't just in monsters, it's in every story where kids cheer for the outsider. Plus, this film gave rise to monster movie matinees, dragging generations of kids into theaters on Saturday mornings, popcorn and all. The Kid. If you want to see a movie that nearly broke Hollywood and made 1 million children cry, start here. The Kid, 1921, doesn't just star Charlie Chaplin, it makes him a father figure for a lost generation. Chaplin's tramp finds an abandoned boy. The two hustle, prank, and survive together. The drama behind the scenes? Legendary. The child star Jackie Coogan was almost replaced by a less emotional kid. Producers worried no child actor should outshine Chaplin, but Coogan's tears and his grin broke hearts worldwide. "That's me," said one orphan in 1922, "except I don't have Chaplin." Critics called it dangerously sentimental. Some adults argued it would make children expect too much from the world. But the public, kids especially, sided with Chaplin. The Kid rewrote the rule book. Black and white movies could make you laugh and sob in the same scene. Frankenstein, He's big, he's stitched together, and in 1931 he became every child's unlikely hero. Forget your nightmares. Frankenstein isn't just horror, it's heartbreak. Boris Karloff's monster lumbers across the screen, lost and confused. Kids didn't just shriek, they wept for him. Why is everyone so mean to him? Ask child audiences, flipping the script on grown-up fears. Behind the scenes, the studio panicked. Should we even show this to kids? One memo read. But kids flocked to the movie anyway, dragging parents back for second and third screenings. The fallout? Frankenstein became the first horror movie merch machine. Monster masks, toys, comic books. The idea that a bad guy could be the most lovable thing on screen changed cinema forever. Horror became kid-friendly, if only for a moment. The Invisible Man. A movie about a lunatic scientist, and kids everywhere giggled themselves silly. In 1933's The Invisible Man, Claude Rains vanishes, and chaos erupts. Instead of hiding in shadows, he pulls pranks, robs banks, and runs amok in the most hilarious ways. Critics called it too anarchic for children, but that just made kids want to see it more. The invisible sight gags, floating pants, headless pranks, inspired schoolyard jokes and after-school experiments. "I wish I could be invisible and skip algebra," one teen wrote. The result? The film spawned sequels, radio shows, and even inspired comic book superheroes like the Fantastic Four's Invisible Woman. Parents groaned, but kids never forgot. Invisibility is for mischief, not evil. Duck Soup. This movie was so silly it nearly got banned in Italy for making fun of leaders, and made kids everywhere laugh until they snorted. Duck Soup, 1933, is pure anarchy. The Marx Brothers, Groucho, Harpo, Chico, and Zeppo, mock war, politics, and grown-up rules. The mirror scene, where Harpo pretends to be Groucho's reflection, has been called the funniest 2 minutes ever filmed. But behind the madness? Studios feared controversy. If kids see this, will they respect teachers? One censor asked. In fact, the film was banned in fascist Italy and Spain for corrupting youth. In the end, the only thing it corrupted was boredom. Kids memorized jokes. "I got a good mind to join a club and beat you over the head with it," Groucho quips. Duck Soup showed children that grown-ups aren't always right, and that laughter is the best revolution. The Adventures of Robin Hood. Think Robin Hood only exists in color? Think again. Kids first fell for the outlaw in pure, classic black and white. Before Errol Flynn's Technicolor tights, The Adventures of Robin Hood lived as a shadowy, black and white serial. In the 1930s, kids packed theaters to watch Robin steal from the rich, outwit guards, and swing from trees, often played by Douglas Fairbanks in the silent era. The stunts were real, the arrows, sometimes dangerous. The film's wild popularity turned Robin Hood into the adventure template, shaping superhero stories for decades. What's more, Robin Hood's rebellion against unfair rulers gave every kid permission to dream of justice and mischief. Teachers complained. Now they all want to be bandits. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. You think monsters are scary? Not when two bumbling comedians turn every graveyard into a joke. By 1948, horror had gotten stale. Enter Abbott and Costello, comedians who couldn't take anything seriously. In Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, they stumble into Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster, turning screams into laughs. Critics howled. "It's the death of horror," thundered one old-school reviewer. Kids, though, couldn't get enough. Suddenly, monsters were just misunderstood and very, very funny. The success changed both comedy and horror. Studios scrambled to create more monster mashups, but none hit as hard. Even today, the mix of chills and giggles makes this film a Halloween favorite. One reviewer nailed it. "Monsters never had it so tough. A trip to the moon." Long before Star Wars, a silent French film launched kids into space. No CGI, just wild imagination. Georges Méliès's A Trip to the Moon, 1902, didn't just predict the moon landing. It made it look fun. Kids gasped at the moon's grumpy face, the papier-mâché rocket, and the wild aliens. Behind the scenes, Mel Yace, part magician, part inventor, built every prop himself. "I want children to dream," he declared. And they did. Schools begged for prints. Science fairs used scenes to teach astronomy. The Man in the Moon became a meme a century before memes. Even Spielberg calls it the single most important film in science fiction. For kids, it's proof that imagination beats special effects every time. Laurel and Hardy. 2 men, 1 donkey, and the silliest dance-off in movie history. Kids still try to copy it. Way Out West, 1937, stars Laurel and Hardy, the bumbling best friends whose slapstick changed comedy forever. The plot: get a deed to a gold mine to the rightful owner. The reality: pratfalls, mischief, and a dance scene so catchy that TikTok would be jealous. Kids went wild. "I can't stop laughing when they fall in the river," said one young fan. The film's blend of music, mayhem, and genuine friendship proved you don't need superheroes to have an epic adventure, just bad luck and good timing. Studios chased the formula for decades, but nothing beats the original. Laurel and Hardy turned failure into comedy gold. The Thief of Baghdad. Before Harry Potter, kids were spellbound by flying carpets and shape-shifting villains. In silent black and white. The Thief of Baghdad, 1924, isn't just fantasy, it's pure spectacle. Douglas Fairbanks leaps across rooftops, battles giant monsters, and conjures magic on a shoestring budget. The special effects, all handmade. Behind-the-scenes gossip says Fairbanks nearly broke his leg doing his own stunts. He risked his neck so kids would believe in magic, a crew member recalled. The result? Box office gold. The film redefined fantasy, inspiring generations of filmmakers. "It was like living inside a dream," one child wrote. "No wonder Disney copied half its tricks for Aladdin." It's a Wonderful Life. Now a holiday staple, this film was nearly buried for being too dark, but kids saw hope where grown-ups saw misery. Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, opens with despair. George Bailey, ready to jump off a bridge. Not exactly fun for all ages, right? But kids saw something adults missed, the magic of second chances. Studio executives hated it. "It'll depress everyone," they said. Audiences disagreed. Over time, children grew up quoting Clarence the Angel. "Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings." Behind the scenes, the snow was made of cornflakes painted white. Actors kept slipping. Today, the movie's darkness makes its happy ending brighter. It taught kids that even the worst day can turn wonderful, and the film's near cancellation, proof that some classics are saved by sheer stubbornness. The Little Rascals, our gang. No adults, no rules, just pure chaos. Kids making movies for kids. The Little Rascal shorts were lightning in a bottle. In the 1920s and 30s, these pint-sized pranksters ran wild. They built soapbox racers, outwitted bullies, and delivered lines still quoted in playgrounds. "Oh, Tay." Behind the scenes, though, things got messy. The young cast faced real-life hardships, and their on-set mischief sometimes spiraled. "You try wrangling 15 sugar-high kids in front of a camera," joked one director. Studios panicked about bad influences, but kids didn't care. The result? These comedies inspired every kids against adults movie to follow, from Home Alone to The Goonies, and every pie in the face, still a crowd pleaser. 12 Angry Men. 12 men, 1 room, and a kid's fate in the balance. This film turns talking into pure suspense. 12 Angry Men, 1957, isn't action-packed, but it's edge-of-your-seat tense. The plot: one boy's life and a jury deadlocked in a sweaty room. What's the secret sauce? Kids get to see grown-ups arguing, doubting, and finally, changing their minds. Henry Fonda leads a cast of legends. "We started with a locked room and ended with an open mind," Fonda quipped. The film's impact? Civics teachers use it to this day. It changed the way Hollywood wrote about justice and proved that a movie without car chases can make hearts race. A Hard Day's Night, 1964. What happens when the world's biggest band acts like overgrown kids for 90 minutes? Pure black and white anarchy. The Beatles don't act, they just are, a reviewer gushed. Shot in glorious black and white for speed and budget, A Hard Day's Night captures the Fab Four dodging fans, cracking jokes, and sprinting through train stations like prank-happy teenagers. Paul's very clean grandfather gets into more trouble than the band. Kids love the pace. Scenes fly, jokes land, and the songs, Can't Buy Me Love, I Should Have Known Better, make you want to dance on the furniture. Director Richard Lester let the Beatles improvise. They were like four puppies, he said. The wild energy is contagious. Critics called it the Citizen Kane of jukebox musicals. It invented the music video before MTV was even an idea. And it proved, with enough fun, black and white can look like Technicolor. The Court Jester, 1955. Danny Kaye takes slapstick to sword and sorcery heights in The Court Jester, a medieval parody that lampoons every hero story you know. Kaye's bumbling jester finds himself mixed up in royal intrigue, mistaken identity, and poison-laced goblets. The tongue-twister scene, the pellet with the poisons in the vessel with the pestle, became legendary for its speed and hilarity. Kids are stunned by Kaye's rubbery face and pratfalls. Adults marvel at the wordplay. At the time, critics dismissed it as too zany. Now it's a cult classic. The film's quick pace, wild costumes, and no-holds-barred jokes influenced everything from Monty Python to Shrek. And if you think the swashbuckler parody was invented in the 2000s, think again. In the words of one critic, no kid ever forgets Danny Kaye fighting off a dozen knights with just a feather duster and a silly song.